All right, this is a video showing what you can do for steps before you start putting your dog on a leash and working on leash work outside and distractions. I always like to suggest that you start in the home. Now, have yourself ready with treats, something that your dog likes. Now you notice how most dogs are always starting out in front of us. That's because we train dogs right in front of us. And so they come right in front more often than not. I like to walk dogs on the left. So to get this, I'm going to get the dog behind me first. Now see how she switches? So if she switches, I'm just going to throw it behind me. Now be prepared to feed really often. She's doing really well. If your dog doesn't do this well, then what you can do is just drop food next to you. She's ready to grab it. Because then they're staying next to me, but behind me. So you can do this. I suggest that you have several little pieces of food in your hand. The key is going to be whichever side you choose for your dog to walk on, you're going to feed from that hand. So if I want her on the right, I need to feed from the right. If I want her on the left, then I feed from the left. Instead of luring the dog, this is luring. You get the food, you pull them into place, and then when they get there, you give it to them. Instead of luring the dog, which you can do, I prefer to shape the dog, which means so if she is out in front of me, then I get her to see she comes back. So if I have, let me let her get in front. Good girl, she's doing really well. Okay, so she's in front. So I need her next to me, correct? So I'm going to throw the food behind me. She has to catch up to me. Once she catches up to me, I need to be ready, and I'm going to feed. But see how this would transfer over to a leash? If I had a leash on her, she's going to be walking next to me. So, and I have to be honest, I know that this is my own dog, as I know many of you that know me know this, but I have not really worked on her with this. So she's doing really well. That also has to do with, which this ties into all training, the relationship that I have with her. But I have not focused on this exercise. So although it does look like she's done this quite a bit, she really hasn't. So you may have a dog that's all over the place. You may have a dog that gets the food, go behind, doesn't come up next to you. If they don't, then bend over and be ready. Catch them before they get to your leg. I say to stop them right here. She knows touch. So I say, let me get her behind me. So watch her when she catches up with me. I'm going to stop her there, and I'm going to put the food right in her mouth. That is somewhat luring because I do have the food for her to come to. But that way I stop her before she goes ahead, because watch what happens. Now watch what happens if I switch it to the right hand, but I want her on my left. See, she crosses over. This is why I want it on the left, because see, now she's out of position. And she switches over onto my right. So, I want her on the left, so I need to feed from the left, and I need to stop her before she gets ahead of me. If your dog doesn't stop right then, and it keeps going, because it doesn't stop for your food, you keep going, that's fine. Your dog can keep going. You're going to turn around, and you're going to throw the food behind you, try to get the dog to catch up, and then once they do, you feed them. This is going to really be a lot about your technique as far as being quick and ready and doing it properly. So you may have to work on your technique, that's fine. You can also drop the food on the floor, drop, just kind of drop it behind your foot, because you're going to be moving while you're dropping. What's going to happen is your dog's going to stop about where the food drops. So if you drop the food here, they're going to stop in front of your foot, and then most likely they're going to swing around. So, all about technique. So you may have to slow down and rewind this video and watch it a few times to get the technique, or you may have to go really, really slow. So I'm going fast. So really, if you have a dog that's not, I would actually suggest doing a few steps, little baby steps. Little baby steps. Now she's staying in position again too, so I know it's hard to see a dog that does it really well. So let me see if I can, okay, so she's out of position now. So baby steps. So now I'm sitting here, okay, what do? My dog's in front of me, she should be next to me. I'm gonna turn my body like this. Yes, she stayed in position good enough. If she were to swing around, I would speed up until she got to where I wanted her, which would be next to me in some way. All we're doing here is, this is just a beginning of loose leash walking. I'm not teaching a heel. Heel is when the dog is right next to your left side, has its head up, and constantly keeps eye contact on you while it walks. Okay? That's a very formal position, and I know a lot of people use the word heel when they're walking with their dog because they really don't have a really great understanding of it, which is fine. But it's a very, very formal position, and a dog literally has its head up and is staring you in the face the entire time it's walking. So that's not a position that you walk your dog down the street in. That is a competition position. So you're not really going to heel with your dog down the street unless you're practicing on your heel exercises for a show or a competition of some kind. So all I teach is loose leash walking. I do want eye contact, but I don't need that dog's head straight up staring at me the entire time they're walking. That's not comfortable, that's not natural, it's not the way they walk. So she's looking at me, good girl, good girl, that's a good girl, that's a good girl. She's keeping eye contact, but she's not doing a formal heel. So this is a few first steps to get your dog started on walking next to you and understanding it in the house before you put a leash on it and go outside. Because if you put a leash on it right now, your dog's probably going to be very distracted if you haven't done a lot of this training, and you're going to lose your mind. You're going to get really frustrated. So start with those steps, and we'll go to step 2 next time.